Hi, I'm Vincent Simone and welcome to today's program. I'm going to take a wild guess about why you stumbled on this video. You build a beautiful point and you produce a short ball, and then instead of hitting a confident approach shot and getting to the net, you think, oh, I wish this person would have just missed the shot. But instead, you are stressed and you want to learn how to avoid missing forehand approach shots. So today, I'm going to show you how to get this done properly. Let's begin. So the first thing that you need to do is learn a modern forehand, okay? And I don't go over that in depth in this program that we have today, but you can find that elsewhere on my channel. But the first thing that I recommend that you do is start setting up at the height of the ball. And for a forehand approach shot, this is going to be around shoulder or waist level usually, but I'm also going to show you what to do if the ball is lower as well. So this is the rule of thumb for doing this properly. And if the ball's at my shoulders, I'm just going to set up at my shoulder, okay? And if the ball's at my waist, I'm going to set up at my waist. And if the ball is low, I'm going to set up low. And what this does is save time in the setup. And the reason that we need to shorten our backswing and, give ourselves more time for the swing is because we're taking the ball early on an approach shot. And our body's also going to be moving while we hit. So we want to have less moving parts in our backswing, right? I don't want to set up all the way here for a ball that's going to be at my waist, because this extra second that I take to get from point A to point B is going to cost me a lot more than you think. It's not just time, it's consistency, errors, mistakes that you're going to make if you don't simplify your unit turns. So get in the habit of feeling like you square your strings, okay? And I like to say, put it in pat the dog, because we don't want the racket face to be open. A lot of people send approach shots long because they don't pat the dog in the backswing. And this is part of the modern forehand, and I'll quickly go over what it should be, okay? We pat the dog at the height of the ball, and this is going to allow you to not have to worry about hitting top spin and flicking your wrist later on in the shot, okay? So once we get pat the dog, you're going to use your left arm and make sure you're a comfortable distance away from the ball. A lot of people get too close to the approach shot, okay? And this is maybe mistake number 2, okay? We get too close and jammed because we misjudge the ball, and people, they run up to it, they think, oh no, they get scared and they stop their feet and the ball jams them, okay? We want to keep our feet moving the entire time through this shot. Use the left arm to space yourself away from the hit, okay? Now, step number 3. I need to show you how to properly do the footwork on this shot, okay? Before we get to the follow through, which is going to be step 4, okay? So watch me here. We're going to be hitting this shot closed stance. This isn't a shot that you really want to hit open stance, because we want to keep our momentum going forwards, okay? And if you notice in the example that I did there, I jump and hit off of my left foot, which is my front foot, because I'm a right-handed player. So if you're a lefty, do everything that I'm telling you to do in reverse. But essentially, what we need to do is jump and hit off the front foot, because this allows us to keep our body weight and momentum forwards and feel like we get our chest leaning over our front toe. Because watch what happens if I land on my back foot. It doesn't really work, and my body weight starts falling backwards. And this is going to cause you to, 1, hit a weak shot, and 2, miss long, because the angle of your chest is now pointing upwards, okay? So we want to make sure that we're also up on our toes before we perform this move. And while you're jumping, you want to feel like you stay with the ball and sideways, okay? I'm going to show you an example so you can kind of piece together a mental picture of how it should look, okay? I'll do 2 examples. Ready? Boom. Okay, and if you notice, I stayed sideways. I felt like I got my chest over the ball, chest leaning over the front toe, and I got the jump. Watch the jump again, okay? Boom. And the reason we get this jump is to, 1, get leverage over the ball, but 2, get our body weight and momentum going forwards, because the idea of an approach shot is not to hit a winner. We want to get to the net. But often if you do this correctly, the opponent will actually miss the shot. And I do recommend going down the line. And I'll talk about that later in the bonus tip section. Now, The fourth thing that you need to do this right is the follow through, okay? And when we follow through on the shot, we do not want to swing up at all, okay? You want to get the habit of swinging across your body. So we stay with it. We stop when we contact, we stop with the chest, we stay sideways, but the arm keeps going and it's got to follow through straight across. You're stepping into the court, okay? So you're already closer to the court. A lot of people overhit this by having a high follow through that goes over their shoulder. When I teach the modern forehand, I always tell people you should never be catching the racket above here in any scenario, but this is especially vital for the approach shot, because if I'm standing in mid-court around what is called no man's land or the service line, and I swing up like this, I'm going to drive the ball long. And not to mention, I'm not going to be able to crack through it as well if I just stay to, this kind of road of kinetic energy, like my bullet train that's going through the ball, okay? I want to keep my leverage over the shot. I don't want to pull out of it. And you may be wondering, okay, do I swing right across my body if the ball is low? And, well, slightly, yes, it would look like this. Boom. Okay, and you just go slightly up. Now that you know the direction of the follow through, in the fifth step, I'm going to be covering a specific thing that needs to happen in the follow through. And it's called the windshield wiper action. The issue with this shot is that a lot of people don't get any topspin at all. And that's because they either break the wrist at contact point or they finish too high and they aren't using their body and rolling over with the shoulder, okay? This is maybe the second most important concept on the modern forehand, and it looks like this from the side, okay? Boom. The windshield wiper action. And a lot of you are going to see this and you're going to think, oh, he's turning over his wrist, he's turning over his lower arm, but this swing comes from the pectoral and the shoulder. And we're using our legs, our torso, our hips. We're getting everything through and we're getting leverage over the ball, but our arm is kind of loose like a whip, okay? And I'm not teaching lag in this video, but you should definitely go learn lag on the forehand if you want to, get this done properly. But essentially, you need to have a windshield wiper finish in order to get enough spin for this shot to dip down in the court and go in. And I'll show you an example so you can see of the windshield wiper finish. And I'll do an example for every height. So at my shoulders, it would look like this. Boom. And if you notice, I finished at my shoulder. At my waist, it would look like this. And I finish here. And for a low ball, it would look like this. Got it? Now, we've covered everything that you need to know. I'm going to give you a bonus tip. So once you've mastered this technique, you may be wondering, where's the best place to put the shot? Now, you always want to go down the line, or I call it holding the line, because if we talk about a concept called the triangle of possibility, essentially, if you hit cross court on an approach shot, you are leaving the rest of the court open for your opponent to put it away. And you will find great success if you start keeping a mental rule in your head. I'm only going to go down the line on an approach shot. And often if you have the right technique and you do it right, they'll just miss the ball anyways. But if you do it down the line, you'll often get a volley that comes right at you, instead of having to reach in an uncomfortable situation and, either missing it or popping up a weak volley, and then you've essentially lost the point. So learning the modern forehand technique is the first step in building a game that's really successful. Next, after this step, you want to go learn modern tennis. And I have a course that's a complete guide. It's called Modern Tennis Step by Step. And if you like what you learned here, you're going to want to go into that next, because it takes what you've learned and it builds on it and teaches you how to gain power and consistency on the court forever. So once you've practiced this, you may want to take it to the next level and go study modern tennis. And you can get started today by clicking the link below. Anyhow, thanks for tuning in, and use what you've learned here to modernize your game.